All right, how's it going? This is day 3, I believe, and today we are working on operators. I was going to include functions into this video, but it just would have been way too long, and I don't want to overload you guys with information. So, starting off with relational operators. Relational operators are used to compare two parameters and return a Boolean value. So, we have a couple here. We have, I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 6 relational operators here. So starting at the top, we have our equals to, and that is just double equal signs back to back. So what this does right here is 2 equal to 6? No, we know 2 is not equal to 6, so that would return false. Then we have not equal to, and it's this squiggly line, I don't know what that's called, and then the equal sign, and that checks if the numbers are not equal to. And in this case, it will be true because 2 and 6 are not the same number. Then we have greater than, which is the greater than sign to the left. It will always be to the left. And this is false because 2 is not greater than 6. And then we have less than, which is the same symbol but to the right, and it will always be to the right. And this is true because 6 is greater, or 2 is less than 6. Then we have greater than or equal to, and this is just that symbol with the equal sign to the left, because we were talking about greater than, so it's still to the left, and this is false. 2 is not greater than 6. Then we have equal than or less to, or equals to or less than, and this is to the right, and equal sign, and this is true because 6 is greater or equal to 2, and that will be true. And then it doesn't always have to be numbers. We could use our operators to check variables in place of numbers. So we have two variables here, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is 5 and number 2 is 6. And then we could just check them like we would numbers, except we're using the variables in place of the numbers. So we have number 1 is less than number 2, and that is true. Number 1 is 5, number 2 is 6, and 5 is less than 6, so that is true. Now we have conditional statements here. These are important. They are very helpful, so pay attention. We have if and then. Those are our two keywords that we need to get down, if and then. And it's kind of runs through almost like English. If number 1 is less than number 2, then do, there's no do, then whatever comes next will be executed, whatever code is next. So if number 1 is less than number 2, then print number 1 is less than number 2. However, if that statement is not correct and number 1 is not less than number 2, then this print statement that comes after this else will be executed. And else, again, important, is one of our operators. If the first condition is not met, then else condition will be executed. So if this right here turns out that it's not true and number 1 is not less than number 2, then else is our backup, and that will be executed. But in this case, number 1 is less than number 2, so this else just gets ignored, and the first option will be printed. And then again, we have our end statement. Just as in functions, conditional statements, if-then statements need to be closed off with an end. Now we have our logical operators. Logical operators return a value depending on the Boolean value of a given argument. So what is that? Well, there's multiple. There's and, or, and not. But starting with and checks to see if both conditions are met. If they are, code will be executed. If not met, the else statement will be enacted. So how we had in our if-then statement, that only checks if one condition is met. Just one. And you can use multiple. So in our example here, we have local console equals true and local controller equals true. And then we have if console equals true. So this checks if console is equal to true. and it is, because you can see up here console equals true. If console equals true, then controller equals true. Then print time to play some games. We have a console, we have a controller, we could boot up the Xbox or PlayStation and play some games. But if we don't, then we can't. We don't have everything ready. We don't have everything we need to play games. So if this was false, right? If console here was false, then the whole thing would just go to the end. Both conditions have to be met. Both of these have to equal true, and if one is not and one is false, then it won't work and it will go to the else statement. Both have to be true, and you can see that if we run the game here, in the output we can see wherever it is, we have multiple examples in here. Somewhere in here it says we are ready to play games. Right here, time to play some games. And I could go through and just switch this to false for the example. Console equals false now. And right here, it is can't play without everything ready. So both conditions have to be met. However, in the next example here, we can check, it doesn't have to be true. Here in our statement where we are checking, we want flashlight equals true. We want the flashlight to be true. And if the power is on and that is equal to false, then print use the flashlight, it's dark. So looking at our variables, we have local has flashlight equals true, local power on equals false. We want power on to be false because we want whatever to use the flashlight because it's dark. So if has flashlight equals true and power is on equals false, then print use the flashlight, it's dark. If the power is on, then you don't need the flashlight. So as you can see, it doesn't have to be false, it just has to be whatever the conditional statement wants. Whatever the conditions are, those conditions have to be met, whether they're both false, whether one is true and one is false, or they're both true. The conditions have to be met regardless. And if they're not, then the else statement is what will be enacted. Then we have or, and or returns one of two arguments. It is, if the first is true, the first argument will be returned, otherwise it will return the second argument. So we have our two variables. We have local is raining equals true, and local is sunny equals false. And here in our if or then statement, we have if raining or is sunny, then print the umbrella. And remember, if we look back up at this, if the first is true, the first argument will be returned. So it is raining. We have our variable that says is raining equals true. It is raining, so we might need an umbrella because we don't want to get wet. But if this was false, then the second argument will be returned, is sunny. So if is raining was false, then is sunny will be true, or returned rather, and we will get no need for an umbrella today. And then you can combine and or to make complex logical structures. So we have our three variables this time. We have has movie, has popcorn, has soda. Has movie is false, has popcorn is true, has soda is true. And then here we have if has movie is true and has popcorn is true, and then end of parentheses, or has soda equals true, then print we're ready for a movie night, or at least have soda. So we're checking if has movie equals true. It's not. And has popcorn equals true. It is true. We do have popcorn, but we don't have a movie. So if we remember what ands do, both conditions have to be met. And right here, both conditions are not met. So the else statement will be enacted and we will print no movie to watch. And we have not, which I believe is our last operator. Not reverses the Boolean value of an argument. If we remember what Boolean is either true or false. So if the argument is true, it will return false and vice versa. So we have local is tired equals true. If not is tired, then print full of energy. Is not equals true, but the not operator reverses the Boolean value. It's always the opposite. So if not tired, then you're full of energy. So if not tired, that would mean it's false. I am not tired. I'm full of energy. Else, our backup statement, if the condition is not met, is you should get some rest. If this was false, is tired equals false, right? If not is tired, then you should get some rest because is tired is false, and the not statement switches it to true, so I am tired and I should get some rest. And then we also have arithmetic operators, and these are just used to perform basic mathematical operations on two parameters and return a value. And we have addition, our plus sign, subtraction, our minus sign, multiplication, we have the asterisk, I believe it's called, division / floor division, which is division that rounds to the nearest whole number, and that is just 2 /. Then we have exponentiation, which is the little caret, and then we have modulus, which returns the remainder of a division operation, and that is the percent sign. But I think that's all for today, all we have for operators. Tomorrow, I believe I might want to wrap this sort of beginner section up and bring you guys to the more advanced functions, and we could kind of throw all this together because those functions, they're a little bit more complex. I don't think it's anything too crazy than what we did yesterday, but it is they're more helpful, they're more useful. You'll definitely use them more than what I mentioned or spoke of in yesterday's video, but we can learn those, we could throw together operators and all these conditional statements, all these logical operators, and we can actually like make code for the first time. We can actually write something simple, which will be cool to see. But that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. Let me know if I did something right so I can continue to make videos like this. If you guys have any suggestions or didn't like the video, go in the comments, tell me why, tell me what I could do better, because I am new to making videos and I want to make as best videos as I can, but I can't do that without feedback. So let me know if you have anything I could do better. So that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, I'll see you then.